Between the summer blockbuster season and Comic-Con, the World Cup, and just doing basic fun summer stuff, I feel like it's been forever since I've gotten to actually do a comic review on here. And so I figure, what better character to do a review about than one of my favorites? So I'm going to give my thoughts on the 5-issue limited series that came out this year titled Rogue. So buckle in, sugar, because we're going to get to it.
I'm getting tired of putting up with garbage like you.
Before I get started into the plot or anything, I just want to say this limited series has one of my favorite covers, I think, honestly, maybe of all time. I just love this cover. I think it's beautiful. The colors are amazing. Rogue looks awesome here. So I just want to shout that out, and also shout out my aunt, my Iguma, for getting me this awesome Rogue mug for Christmas.
Can you see Bishop?
I could spit on him if I wasn't a lady.
Rogue 2026 is a character-driven mystery that explores Rogue's criminal past from her days with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, as that past is now beginning to haunt her in ways that she couldn't imagine. The story starts out with Rogue in the current continuity leading the Louisiana X-Men as they are fighting to save people from a monster at an airport. At that airport, she happens to see this man called John Stelton. She doesn't recognize him, but ever since seeing that man, she's had vivid nightmares and dreams about a murderous past that leads her to think that somebody is tampering with her memories. So she leaves the X-Men and sets off on this solo journey over these 5 issues to discover what is going on. So starting with the things that I like about this series, this story explores Rogue's past as a criminal, and I really like that. Rogue started out as an Avengers villain, and then even when she joined the X-Men and became a hero, it took a long time for the team to fully accept her, Wolverine especially. But now, clearly Wolverine and Rogue get along well, as she does with everyone else on the team. It feels like it's been so long since Rogue has been a villain that that part of her character has been widely forgotten about when most people think about the character of Rogue. And so I thought it was really cool to bring that back and have a story centered around her having to deal with that past now that she has been a hero for so long. The creative team clearly has a good understanding for this character and a lot of respect for Rogue's past. You see a lot of panels paying homage to those early issues, and even in the story we get to see characters like Mystique and Destiny and many flashbacks to Brotherhood characters, which was really cool to see. A big part of this story that we find out is that Rogue hurt this John Stelton guy at some point in her past, and she has blocked that memory out. But the story really focuses a lot on him, and he's just a random guy, but you see the ramifications of him just being some random guy who got hurt by a supervillain that was Rogue in her past. And I think that it's really cool that this story doesn't spend every panel with Rogue, but we really get to spend time with this John character and see the consequences that Rogue's past actions have caused. We often think of Rogue as this hero, but one thing that I really like at the end of the story is that John does not forgive Rogue. And I think a lesser story wouldn't have had the guts to do something that powerful. A big theme of this story is that sometimes in life, we hurt people, and it's our fault. And even though we have worked to grow past that, those consequences will still always be there. And the people that we hurt do not owe us forgiveness. And it's up to us to accept that, own that, and try to be a better person. And that's really what we see Rogue do in this story. Another fun thing about this story is that it changes up how Rogue's powers typically appear. Ever since Rogue stole Captain Marvel's powers, it has been so intertwined with her character that many people may think that that is just her power set. Being able to fly, super strong, indestructible. When people think of Rogue, that's what people may think of, when in reality, her actual mutation of being able to steal life forces and powers is much more interesting. You know, characters who are always indestructible oftentimes get boring to watch. And so having this story specifically focused on Rogue, and when we're spending so much time stripping that away, makes it more interesting. And the story does this by making Rogue's powers kind of glitchy, going in and out, and so it forces Rogue to actually have to rely on absorbing powers of people around her to fight and to get through things. I especially loved seeing Rogue with Mystique's power set. I didn't have Rogue turning into the Blob on my 2026 bingo card, but it was really fun to see. Issue 3 was my favorite. Rogue has to fight Constrictor, who is now this businessman, but clearly still a villain. But while doing it, Rogue doesn't have her typical power set, and so we have to see her get creative and beat him without using her powers.
Well, alright, hun. Since you asked me nice.
Getting into my issues with the story, the dialogue was the biggest standout to me, especially in issue 5, which was the last issue and the issue where all of the emotional bits were tying in together. It felt like the dialogue did not flow well, and the way that characters conversed with each other did not feel very organic or realistic. It felt like there was no subtext and characters would just specifically say how they were feeling. There was a lot of tell, not show, rather than show, don't tell. The art also felt kind of inconsistent at times as well. A story that was taking on this deep of a theme needed to dedicate more panels to that theme specifically, and it felt like maybe we could have taken some of the action panels and planned it out a little more to give those themes and those scenes where the story is tying its emotional core together more room to breathe, especially in the 5th issue. I don't want to blame the writer. Erica Schultz also wrote Laura Kinney Wolverine a few years ago, and I loved that, and so it was a little odd for me to see that here. So again, I don't want to blame any one person on the creative team. I know that Marvel can put these writers and artists under some pretty tight schedules, but the reality is that there were mistakes that were made, and unfortunately it came at the cost of quality of this really interesting Rogue story that could have been much more.
Muir Island's no good for you. How about we go to Paris instead?
How about getting your butt out of my car?
Overall, Rogue 2026 understood the character of Rogue, paid homage to her history, did some interesting things with her power set, and attempted to tell an intimate story of how our past mistakes can cause not only regret, but shame and guilt that can last forever. In a very powerful move, the story gives no simple answers to this. It says that the people that we have hurt in our past do not owe us forgiveness, even if we've changed. It also tells us that we cannot keep those feelings of shame and guilt to ourselves, and that we need to open up to those around us and continuously work to be a better person. It's just unfortunate that due to the lack of quality dialogue on the last issue, these themes are undermined slightly. Between last year's Rogue the Savage Land and this year's Rogue Standalone, I'm really happy to see so many Rogue-centered stories, and I hope that Marvel will continue to give this character the attention and respect that she deserves, because she's a really awesome character, and I'm going to give this story 3.5 out of 6 snicks. Have a good day, sugar.